Hey, Andre, so if you're a Ford fan and you can't quite find a Raptor to buy or can't afford one, what's the next truck that you get?
Well, it's a brand new truck that we recently spent 2 weeks with. It's the brand new F-150 Tremor.
Guys, welcome to Talking Trucks. Today it's Andre and myself, and we are going to be talking about the Ford Tremor and about other vehicles, well, trucks that compete with it. So if you love off-roading and if you love talking about trucks, you've come to the right place, Andre. So, Andre, I just got back from Moab, where I drove the Tremor. Yep, that's me.
Yep.
To Hell's Revenge.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to ask you this, because you probably are the first person, at least I know, who took the Tremor on a road trip. How was it, dude? What did you think about just the comfort, fuel efficiency? Tell me about your trip.
Well, the first question you should be asking is, did I actually take it up Hell's Revenge?
Did you take it
No,
up?
I didn't.
Why not?
I was by myself, and I was on a very limited time frame. I was doing some scouting for a potential TFL West location, and so I brought the Tremor along mainly as a great vehicle for a road trip, and then to do a little bit of light off-roading and find out exactly how it does when it gets steep and deep, which it got kind of steep and deep. If you head over to TFL Truck, you can watch my video of me going up one of the small, like, baby lions backs.
Yeah, it was a cool video, and you saw some other people there, and it looked beautiful as always.
Yeah, so let's talk about the truck, and let's talk about what it's like to road trip it. And Moab from here is about 6 hours, so I spent, maybe 12, 14 hours behind the wheel of the thing. That's a long enough time to get a good sense for the truck. So let's start with the look.
Yes. Before we do that, I want to thank some Patreons.
Yes.
Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/TFLcar is our page where you guys are supporting us, and it helps our podcast, both TFL Car Podcast and TFL Truck Podcast as well, and everything else. And we have actually a question I want to get to later from Corey McLeod, who actually supports us on Patreon.
Is it a Tremor or a Raptor question?
Yes.
Perfect question.
Yes.
All right, well,
Yes.
we'll get to that at the end of the show, so stay tuned.
Yeah, so let's define the truck first, right?
Good thinking. Andre, what's a Tremor? What's an F-150 Tremor?
So actually, it's actually the last Tremor in their lineup for Ford. So initially, and you were there at the introduction, the Super Duty Tremor was announced, which is kind of an off-road package, suspension lift.
You are wrong, sir.
What?
Initially, the Tremor was
Are you really going to go there?
I was there for that one, too, when they unveiled the original Tremor, which was like
2014?
Yeah, which was like a track truck, basically. It was like their version of the Lightning. Not the electric Lightning, but the old Lightning. We're really getting deep into the weeds here, Andre.
Okay, so how far back do we need to go on the Tremor name? So the Tremor name was in the past. Then it was, like you said, on their kind of a sport truck, right?
Yeah, it was like a lightweight, quick
two-door.
Yeah. That was kind of like the next version of the original Lightning,
but
not the electric
EcoBoost.
Lightning.
It was an EcoBoost.
It was an
twin
EcoBoost,
turbo.
yeah.
So now, fast forward 6 years or so, and then Tremor name turned into an off-road name. Right?
Yes, it first rolled out. I was there for that too. I'm in a lot of places when they rolled out the Super Duty. Sorry,
Yes.
not Heavy Duty. Almost mistakenly called it. Let's face it, Super Duty, Heavy Duty, it's all the same thing.
It is a heavy-duty truck, yes, absolutely.
Yes. When they rolled it out. So basically, for the longest time, the Power Wagon ruled the roost when it came to off-road heavy-duty trucks. And then Ford said, hold my beer, and rolled out the Tremor, which was really the first truck in the heavy-duty segment that not only was very off-road worthy because it had a lift, it had off-road tires, it had skid plates,
all that, yeah.
all lockers. But unlike the Power Wagon, it could be had with what, Andre?
A diesel engine.
Very good, yes.
And then later on, of course, they brought out the winch option for it. It was an initial, but now the Super Duty Tremor comes with a winch optional.
Have you ever seen one of those? I still haven't seen one.
Yes, I have one. I saw one in real life.
Really?
Yes, it exists.
It exists.
It's about $3,000 options though for the winch. And then they rolled out a Ranger Tremor.
Yes.
Which is currently their most off-road capable Ranger midsize truck. Similar formula, right? So they gave it a lift, gave it bigger tires, slightly wider track. Of course, lockers there, all the computer modes, right? Yep. All of the off-road different modes.
A big Tremor sticker.
A big Tremor sticker. Also capabilities there, right? Payload is mostly untouched, and also towing is relatively the same. So this formula is make it off-road capable, but leave a lot of the towing and payload by itself.
And finally, they did not forget to, of course, go after the most popular truck, as Ford would like to say, in America, and in their lineup, the F-150. So now we're talking about the F-150 Tremor, which is not a sport truck.
It's not. It's no longer a sport truck. It is still pretty powerful, but I think it's overdue. Rebel came out in 2019. Then in 2020, the Trail Bus Chevrolet came out, right? Then the GMC AT4. Of course, TRD Pro. Toyotas have been around for many, many years. Pro 4X Titans have been around for many, many years. I think this Tremor option was long overdue. It's finally here.
Yeah, so if you were to put it in the Ford lineup of off-roady trucks, you'd start with like a regular 4x4, then you go to an FX4, obviously. Then you would step up to a Tremor, and then you would step up to a Raptor, and then coming eventually a Raptor R. So it kind of sits in the middle there. It's better than a more off-road worthy than an FX4, but it's not quite a Raptor. So it's like a Raptor Light. What is it? What did Ford add to it to make it a Tremor, Andre?
So it's about a 1-inch suspension lift. So it's a unique kind of springs in the front. Right now, if you're watching this, I'm also showing it next to a Rebel. It's about a unique springs in the front. Of course, unique shocks, not name brand shocks. So this is basically Ford tuning. In the rear, it's kind of a block lift. So they basically take the leaf spring, it still leafs, add a little block for a suspension lift, and then they add bigger tires, which I really, really like. This is basically a 33-inch tall tire option. So it's not 35s. So it doesn't really step on the territory where the Raptor lives. But it's a little bit taller, it's a little bit wider. Then they gave it a couple of Raptor components.
And by the way, speaking of tires, I remember ours came with the grabbers.
Yeah, General grabbers. Yeah. Which this is a factory choice for the Tremor. And then they gave it optionally front Torsen limited slip differential from the Raptor, which is also available in the Raptor, now available in the Tremor. And also the transfer cases from the Raptor, which is that all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, very clever transfer case is also there.
Yeah, and then ours came in this really cool. I like this color. We had an LR3. It was the LR3 color was, I think, called like royal blue, which was a very deep and dark blue. Ford named it antimatter blue. So it depends. If you're looking at it at nighttime, it looks black. But if you're looking at it in daytime, you can see the metallic flake in the paint, and it's kind of a dark blue with a little bit of flake. It's a really cool color, antimatter. It's not great for camera work because it
kind of looks dark.
It looks dark, yeah. But when you're up close to it in the sunlight, it's quite stunning. And then the interior, of course, they didn't just leave that alone. They took in ours yellow stitching and, of course, spelled out the word Tremor across the headrest, and then perforated the seats, and then made the inside of the perforations yellow. So depending on how you look at the seat, it can either look black or yellow, depending on your angle. And then looking at your picture, you can see, I don't know, is that yellow or gold that they're doing that highlight in?
So do you know what Ford calls this color?
Ford calls the Bronco that we have orange, but it is definitely yellow. What do they call that color?
Code orange.
Oh, Jesus, they called everything orange.
So, but in my mind, and
it's gold, dude.
I'm not
it's
colorblind.
Gold. It's gold, yeah.
So it looks really yellowish gold, which is a great color, and nonetheless, so they painted tow hooks in this color. They gave it kind of the grill element highlight in this color. Of course, Tremor stickers are there as well. And like you said, interior has these gold or yellow or orange, depending on...
I'm going with gold, dude.
Depending on who you ask.
I put my wedding ring next to it, and it pretty much matched it, so...
Which is not a bad color for an off-road truck. Gold, award-winning gold.
Gold's in
truck.
right now. I know for a long time, like, if you watch those home improvement shows, gold was certainly out, but now it's back. So, we're seeing that trend in off-road trucks as well.
But it's not shiny, right? It's the kind of a matte finish, right? It's not reflective gold color.
Yeah,
it's kind of like this matte finish, basically, which is cool.
Yeah, it doesn't sparkle.
And then the starting price on the new F-150 Tremor, which only comes as a crew cab short bed, is $51,500. So about $51,000.
And ours was an eye-watering $68,005.
Yes.
So I'm going to cut to the chase, Andre.
Yeah.
I'm going to say at $50,000, it's a hell of a deal. At $68,000, it's a tarted up F-150
Raptor?
No, just a tarted up F-150.
F-150?
It's a horrible way to say that, but it's true. At the base price, it's actually a really good deal. But when you get to $68,000, at that point, just go to a Raptor. You might as well. You're already in Raptor pricing. So why? I guess if you wanted the towing capability of the Tremor. So the Raptor, as we know, tows 8,000. Did they increase it?
Yeah, it's now 8,200.
Oh, one.
Because they had to better the TRX.
Yeah.
Right.
And this tows what,
10,900. So if you want to tow more confidently, right? If you want to tow slightly something that's a little bit heavier, I wouldn't recommend towing 10.9, right? When you're at the limit, that's not a good experience for towing. But if you want to bring like an 8,500 pound camping trailer or something of that sort, I think the Tremor would do a great job. Our Tremor had almost 1,600 pounds of payload, which is once again very usable number, right? That means you can bring the trailer and your family and everything else together with you. And maximum payload is around like 1,800 pounds if you have a base Tremor option.
Yeah, now the thing that, I like about the Raptor, which this unfortunately doesn't have, is it's got kind of that floaty Baja truck ride, which translates to, a really great highway ride. This rides more like a traditional F-150, which, there's a hint of like, this is a truck. The Raptor is, if you were to do a scale, on the left side of the scale is, truckiness with the heavy-duty trucks, like a dually being there, right, where they just ride horribly if they're not loaded.
Right.
Leaf springs, the back end's bouncing around, like a bad
cart
rap video, a bad twerking rap video.
Okay.
And on the right side of that scale is like, a dialed-in, race-tuned Baja truck, right? The Raptor is more on the right side. Dually is more on the left side. This is somewhere kind of in the middle. So there's still that hint of like this is a truck that is a tool versus a truck that is, a Baja racing monster that can go over bumps and jumps and ruts with very little discomfort in the cabin. And that would be my biggest complaint of it as a long distance tour. And I would say out of all the vehicles in the world, full-size pickup trucks or heavy-duty trucks are the best road trip vehicles. So it's already starting as a great road trip vehicle, right?
Because it's roomy, you can put stuff into it.
18 million cup holders.
Yes.
You're way up high. You're looking over traffic. You've got all-wheel drive. You've got two-wheel high. You got two low. So if the weather turns bad, you're good. You feel like you got a lot of metal around you. So if one of those little car things gets in your way, you're not going to be in any danger. And you're about the same height as a semi, well, a little bit below a semi truck driver, but nevertheless you're kind of more on par with them. And so yeah, trucks are great, but it does kind of fall into that crack in between the Raptor and a regular F-150. So I guess I would say if you're going to go for that Raptor, just go for the Raptor. This feels special, but the Raptor feels really special.
Well, yeah. So especially at $68,000.
Yeah, at 60. At 55, it's a bargain.
Yeah. So here's how I would configure a Tremor, and I want to talk about the power plant in a second. But if I was to get a Tremor F-150, I would start with the base one at like 51, add the towing package, which I think you need like a camera package as well and something else, and then also add the front torsion. Yeah. I think that's really important because in the most tricky off-road situations, you want the front end also to help you out and to be able to transfer power side to side.
Not as good as a locker, but darn near
close.
Yeah,
it's very close to that. And that would take you to about $55,000. I think at that price, it's very competitive against, the top of the lines, Rebels and Trail Bosses and other trucks. And it still, tows and hauls a lot of weight. At $68,000, well, the Raptor starts at 65 if you can ever find one, which you probably won't.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're in that $70,000 range, I would say go for the Raptor.
Now, the one that we had, which was the last gen, that one was $77,000.
Fully loaded.
Yeah. That had every option on it. The thing that I also miss, which is weird, and I hate to say this, but it's true, what they did with the Tremor is they gave it the Raptor exhaust, right? So now you have those
twin exhaust pipes.
Yeah, those twin exhaust pipes that come out the back. Behind and underneath the bumper as opposed to on the side. But with the Raptor, you do get the high output 3.5, so you get a little bit more horsepower, but you also get that augmentation where, depending on what mode you're in, Ford fakes the fact that you've got like a V8 versus a twin turbo V6.
It's a sound enhancement.
That's the only way I could put it, right? They're faking a V8. This doesn't have it. So this truck, at least I couldn't find it. Maybe I was in the right mode. But in just normal driving mode, there's no sound enhancement, and it's super quiet. So if you love super quiet trucks, you're going to
comfortable on the long trip.
Yeah, you're going to be in hog heaven. But I like to hear a little hint of that rumble, right? It just makes me feel like I've got something, I'm packing something under the hood, if you know what I mean, Andre. Whereas here, I felt like I was packing nothing.
Well, so let's talk about this. First of all, I want to comment on the ride because I have an FX4 F-150.
Yeah.
Basically, the level below this, the FX4 package. This ride's, I noticed, maybe a little squishier. I can tell because I think the tires are a little bit squishier. They're a little bit larger. So I think it's tiny bit comfier going.
You have to admit, you've got the world's smallest wheels and tires combo.
I have an XL, dude. I have an XL. I have a work truck.
You have the Steely work truck option, and so it's going to ride like a truck with very small Steelies.
But it's not bad. My F-150 is still
bad,
not bad. No, it's not awful.
It's the exact opposite of what the TRX or Raptor have.
Right.
If you want to think about that, if you thought of what's the opposite of like a 35 on a Raptor, it's Andre's truck.
Oh, really?
It is.
Okay.
I'm not dissing it, but it's true.
Okay, yeah. I want to upgrade my tires no matter what. Even you probably saw a TFL off-road video where I really struggled in my FX4, and the Tremor didn't care. Really.
Yeah, so talk about that. So you took it, before I could talk about Moab, talk about what happened when you took it into Colorado off-road and compared it to your truck.
Yeah, so Nathan drove the Tremor. Mm-hmm. I drove my truck, which is a new F-150 FX4, and Nathan was behind the wheel of the Tremor. We went to the Ironclads, which is a trail we like to use here nearby in Colorado because it has a couple steps. So basically you have to climb a couple of these steps, and it tests the approach angle in a very big way. And then there is the Razor Rocks that kind of puts you sideways and really tests your articulation and your grip and your tires.
And your paint.
And your paint. It tests your, the size of your truck, your maneuverability of your truck. And I went first on purpose. So I cleared the first step because I took slightly easier line. I knew I had the chin hanging down, right? I knew my approach angle wasn't great. So I took a slightly easier line over, and I could just position my truck. I went over it. Then I couldn't make it over the Razor Rocks, just didn't have enough clearance. My tires were getting squished and pinched. I was so close to popping my tire, and that would be a bad day. Changing a tire off road in the middle of nowhere.
On the Razor Rocks, that'd be a really bad day.
Yeah, that would be a very bad day. So I backed down. Nathan approached the steps, no problem. He has a brand new skid plate, design on the Tremor. Better approach angle, better. Almost every angle is better. And then he had enough clearance and traction to just climb over Razor Rocks like it wasn't even there.
Yeah.
So that's the difference, really, in the end.
Yeah, but there's an important difference that we need to also point out, Andre, and this is a kind of almost a deal breaker in my mind. Your truck has the inverter that produces 7.2 kilowatt hours of power out the back.
Kilowatts, yeah.
Yeah, kilowatts, sorry. And the battery is what, 1.5 kilowatt hours, right?
Exactly.
That option is not available in the Tremor for some reason.
No, it's not. And there's only one engine choice. So the Tremor currently is only available with the 3.5 EcoBoost, which is their twin-turbo V6. So it's not a V8, it's not a hybrid, it's not a smaller EcoBoost. It's just one engine, 400 horsepower, 500 pound-feet of torque, which is, quite a lot of power. And we actually also have another video coming up on TFL Truck soon where I did a night gauntlet with Mr. Truck. So Mr. Truck and I took it up the mountain. So that's coming very soon.
And ironically or interestingly, you towed up the F-100.
Yeah, we towed the old truck up there
cool. Towing a Ford.
As a weight.
The manufacturers don't like when we tow new trucks, so that Ford is
of any brand.
Of any brand, they don't like seeing a truck on a trailer. Period.
Right.
And I get that. You've got this new truck, and it suggests that there's an issue with it. So our stunt truck.
Stunt truck is our 1965
Ford F-100, which looks cool and is heavy. How much does it weigh? It's like 8,000, right? When you put it on the
together
trailer.
With the trailer, it's like 8,100 pounds. Yeah, so that's a pretty heavy trailer.
Which also lets you max out the TRX, which you also did. Mm-hmm. So there's an ice gauntlet coming, a raw and an edited ice gauntlet with the truck maxed out. And by the way, guys, if you want to stay up on all of our videos, you're like, oh my God, there's so many videos. That's how I feel half the day. I just go to tfl-studios.com and we put our podcast, our videos, our news stories up there, and you can see everything. So we did
It's in one place.
Yeah, it's a one-stop shopping place. That's where I go in the morning. I use it as an app on my phone. So I just have it as a little web app on my phone, and then I can see all the stories and click through the ones that I want to watch, listen, or read.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you were saying, Andre, sorry, I really interrupted you.
No. This is a really great discussion, I think. And it also, we'll get to your question from Patreon in a second. But I think it's a missed opportunity here for Ford. Because when I was first looking at the Tremor, when the news came out, I thought the 5-liter Coyote would be perfect. Right? Why not? Because, those people who love the Raptor will get it. Those people who want V8s, why not this, right? So a little V8 powered, slightly less capable but more affordable Tremor V8 could have been awesome. Or maybe even a hybrid, right? So a hybrid for an extra power. Although this truck also has like 2 kilowatt plug.
It does have a 2 kilowatt plug.
It's not the 7.2,
right,
but it's the 2 kilowatt plug, which is, offers you less power, but more than some other trucks.
Yeah, so a 2 kilowatt plug is something like, I don't know, like you could potentially charge up.
Well, you can run a blender.
Charge a coffee maker. You could. I don't know if you could charge up like very quickly like a electric lawnmower. Say we're using it for a landscape business. I'm not sure 2 kilowatt would be enough. I think you'd want that.
I think you could charge it, but not quickly.
Not quickly, yeah.
Probably,
yeah.
Yes. The 7.2, and we actually tried to power a house with a hybrid.
Yeah.
That was another story. But you can approach, you can run bigger items, maybe like an air conditioner.
Can you power like a non-rechargeable chainsaw with a electric chainsaw with a 2 kilowatt? You might be able to.
You might be able to, because
I know the 400 watts don't do that. Those guys are useless.
No, it's just enough to turn the motor, but as soon as you put resistance into it doesn't do anything. So 2 kilowatt is actually decent. You can run your campsite, maybe lights, maybe something else for your camp. You can definitely run.
So anyway, I drove this thing, for 7 hours, and it was comfortable. Fuel economy, once again, it's Eco Boost or Eco Boost. It's always confusing. It's either Boost or Eco, or Eco, right? You never get both. I think I averaged right around 16 and a half, something like that, 17 miles, going by what the truck said, if I remember right.
So I
remember seeing 16 a lot.
Yeah, 16 and a half, probably 17.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. When you lift the truck, remove the chin, put bigger tires on it, your efficiency is going to go down.
Oh, for sure.
And EPA rates this truck at lower levels. So at about 20 on the highway is the EPA rating. You were going probably 75, speed limit, 80.
Yeah, sure, Andre, 75, that's what I was going. We'll go with that.
I'm just talking about speed limits, okay?
Yes, I'm saying we'll go with that.
So higher speeds, these trucks, even my hybrid. Dude, my hybrid, I took it to Albuquerque a couple of months ago with the family. And you would think it's an efficient truck, right? But as soon as you're going 75 with all the air resistance, my efficiency was like 21 and a half. So it dropped also. So as soon as you're pushing that brick through the wind, no matter what you do, it's going to be less efficient.
Yeah, especially in Utah, I was doing 75. Where the speed limit is 80, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yes, let's just say I was going at the upper end of the speed limit, so that probably didn't help my fuel efficiency. But I wasn't, hauling anything except ass. But let's talk about the off-road ability of this truck. So I get to Utah. I'm driving it around. It's fine. It's good. And then I get to go up to Hell's Revenge and take it up over one of the baby Lion's backs. And I had the same problem with this truck that I have with every modern truck, and that is modern full-size truck. And we just had the same issue, I think, with the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. The sight lines are atrocious. There's no other way to say it.
So when you went up,
when you're going up, all you see is sky, and when you're going down, all you see is nothing in front of you, but maybe 20 feet ahead of you. So if there was a precipice right in front of your wheels, you would just go flying over it. They're just so tall and boxy and square now, so aggressively styled that as an off-roader, they're pretty terrible in terms of sight lines. And Ford, of course, understands that, and the manufacturers are now giving you more cameras to help you. And so Ford does have the front-facing cameras. The problem with cameras is they just don't give you a sense of depth, right? like when you look out, you know, like, oh, that's probably like 10 feet in front of me. When you look at the camera, you're like, is it 10 feet? Is it 20 feet? Is it 5 feet? You really can't tell.
But at least it's a guide, kind of a guideline, right?
It's kind of a guideline.
Yeah.
But
it's better than not having it. I recently was in the Bronco off-roading it at this off-road kind of a challenging obstacle. And the camera did help me because I knew my line was correct. I couldn't tell the depth perception, but at least I knew that I was on the right track and then I could navigate into this ravine.
So I was reading the comments on my video. I did it by myself, right? Because there was nobody there. And one of the guys said, hey, you know, you should do it the old-fashioned way. That's like look out the window, because I was highlighting the camera. So I'm like looking out the window of
into a cliff
of a Tremor is kind of like the equivalent of like wheeling the Eiffel Tower. And you're on top and you're like, oh, I can see where I'm going. There is nothing that's going to help you looking out the window. You are so far from that front wheel or rear wheel, and you're so high up, it doesn't necessarily help. Plus, the sight lines, once again, are so horrendous, it doesn't actually do you anything.
It's probably because in the front, they gave it a unique hood. So now the hood, so the Ford F-150 has its own hood. The Raptor has a different hood. Now the Tremor has a different hood, and it's kind of got this bulge. It's a little bit taller in the middle.
Yeah, and I love the functional air scoops.
Non-functional.
I know, Andre.
Yeah, I know.
I think the only functional air scoop is a TRX that actually does suck in air from that big.
Or heavy-duty trucks.
Or heavy-duty trucks, yeah. Actually, the Chevys also have functional air scoops, right? The new ones, yeah.
So, but you know what I like about the mirrors? I don't know if you noticed this, but the side mirrors on the new Fords, if you get the standard mirror, it's kind of a lower. It's mounted a little bit lower than the others.
Yeah.
So if you look into the side on the highway, for example, you have pretty good sideways view towards, or maybe like an intersection. So I like that point. But in the front, all you see is basically hood, right?
Now, I've been kind of, whining and moaning a lot about the things I don't like. So let me talk about the things I really thought were thoughtful and very useful. So Ford does this thing now where you can fold the gear selector down, and then you can flip the armrest forward so that you have this giant surface. I went to my little taco place. I found that extremely useful for having my fajitas.
So you were chilling in your truck?
I was chilling in my truck, listening to Howard Stern.
And eating your tacos?
And eating my tacos.
Wow.
And fajitas. It was really nice. So I think that was a really useful feature. I also love the giant screen and the newest version of Sync. I forget which one it is, but it works really well.
Yeah, it's like Sync 4, but not the electric. Like it's not the electric.
It's not the newest one. It's not like the Mach-E.
Newest one. It's not the 4A.
It's still good.
Yeah, it's Sync 4.
I'm a little tired of the blue. I think Ford. Okay, we get it. It's your corporate color. Enough of the different shades of blue, but nevertheless, it works. And then you can split the screen in half. So like on the right side, you can have nav, and in the middle, you can have like your main entertainment, and it works really well. And then I also love the fact that you've got separate buttons for your HVAC. So you can obviously do cooled seats, heated seats. I think they actually are cooled. They might be not just vented, but chilled and vented. You also have, a relatively good display in front of you. So, you see just exactly the speed limit that you're not doing displayed in front of you, right?
Right, sure.
Very boldly. And then I thought the seats were exceptional. I thought they were very comfortable for a long distance ride. I've got lower back issues, and like I said, I spent 14 hours in this thing.
So you can control the lumbar, right?
You can control the lumbar. I didn't try it. Does this one? Did the Tremor have the fold flat seat? I didn't try it.
No, I don't think it does. And don't quote me on this. But I think only like the King Ranch and the Platinums and some of those luxury trucks have that.
So I almost tried it because I get to Moab, right, at night. It's like 9 o'clock now, or I think I left you like at 1 or something. I get there at night, and I'm expecting like old Moab where you pull in, and it's November, right? Actually, October. It's October. It's not like you're in the middle of the high season. And I was expecting like I can get a hotel room for like $115. No way, dude. They were like $300.
Really?
And they were barely gettable.
Shoot.
Yeah, I was able to find finally one for like $250 or $260. And so I was like, I wonder if this thing has the fold down seat, because I don't know if I want to be hanging in a hotel or if I'm going to be spending the night in the truck.
Yeah, so that I would hate to sleep in it all night, no matter how it reclines.
Moab has blown up.
Yeah.
Too much. Too many people, too many cars. It used to be this kind of, out of the way, incredibly
kind of
playground.
town.
And now I think side by sides are really the the catalyst for this.
Or maybe it's our fault.
It could be our fault. Sorry, guys. If you used to go to Moab like me back in the 90s, and now it's like this, oh my gosh, this playground for everybody.
And it's growing, and the people are building new houses, new condos, everything. So here, should we get to this question from Corey?
Yeah, let's read the question.
On patreon.com.
Yeah.
Thank you, Corey, for supporting us. Corey says, help. Love the channels and would greatly appreciate some direction. He currently has a 2019 Ram Rebel with almost every option: panoramic sunroof, Ram boxes, the 12-inch screen. He really likes it, but he's ready to move on. He says, looking at a 2020 Raptor used, compared to a 2021 F-150 Tremor, fully loaded like this truck, they're both at $70K. So a used second-gen Raptor, $70,000. A Tremor is $70,000, like we just said. Am I going to be completely let down by the plastic interior in the second-gen Raptor compared to my Ram package, or should I go for the Tremor? I don't think you're going to be let down by the plastic interior, but I would go for the Tremor.
I'd go for TRX. If you can find one like we did for 77, take out a longer loan, stretch for it, and get the truck right now that is, I think, the best truck on the market if you can afford $77,000. I know I'm sounding like a Ram fanboy, but I just love 702 horsepower in that truck. It's just magnificent. I'm not going to go into detail than that before, but yeah, I'd go for a Tremor only if I couldn't get a TRX. And Raptors, I don't know, dude. They're so... In a way, I think Raptor's become played out. I hate to say this, but I think Raptor has become like yesterday's news. Maybe with the new R, but I think that the TRX came out of the blue and Ford wasn't ready for it, and now they're really struggling and really working hard to catch up. That doesn't mean Ford doesn't have a lot of great trucks or other vehicles, but right now the TRX, in my opinion, is certainly the one that has the buzz and the limelight.
So Corey also says, is the Raptor worth the added performance with a downgraded interior? But Corey, it just depends on what you want to do, right? So if you live in SoCal, you are from Southern California, maybe you want to go into Mojave Desert and run fast.
Or Pismo, go to the beach.
Sure. Maybe you want to go into Baja, in fact, run fast. Maybe the Raptor would be better for that. Raptor Fox shocks, they're designed for higher speeds, and so you can carry a little bit more speed when you're going off-road.
I think the issue with the latest generation Raptor is it just looks the same. Unless you see it next to the second gen, they didn't do enough to distinguish it from the old one, right? And I think Raptor people are looking for the newest and the greatest, and I think there was a little bit of disappointment when we kind of showed the next generation Raptor, and it looked almost identical to the previous generation, right? They didn't change a lot. They
fine-tuned it, right?
Right,
but they didn't step make a huge leap.
Yeah, especially since the TRX had already come out, and we just went from 450 horsepower to 702. And now we're heading into 1,000 with the Hummer EV, right? It just felt like it was not enough in the ongoing truck wars. One of the things I wanted to bring up, Andre, and this is interesting, and we'd love to get your take on it, but let me get your take on it. So there's this perception in the truck world, or maybe in the car world, about truck guys and gals, right? The truck buyers are the most loyal, brand-specific buyers in the market. So if you're a truck buyer and your dad was a truck buyer and your dad's dad, your grandpa was a truck guy and he drove, or gal, Chevy, you're going to drive a Chevy, and your family's going to drive a Chevy. And at least from the emails we're seeing and from the comments, I think it's fair to say we're the largest truck publication in America right now. I'm not seeing that. Are you seeing that? I think people aren't really brand.
Well, look at Corey.
Yeah, exactly.
He just has a Ram, Rebel. He's really interested in the Ford, and I think
it's become a lot more fluid.
I think it's more feature oriented. It's more
value,
capability, value oriented, maybe. And I think, we're going to be exploring it because we're getting several trucks for long term, right? In the coming year, at least the first truck is going to be the Tundra, right? The new Tundra, like we announced. So I'm not seeing that either.
Yeah, it's weird because when we first started this, you definitely saw people who were like, it's Chevy or it's Ford or it's Ram or it's nothing. or even Nissan, right?
And Toyota,
Yeah, or it's nothing. And now, the one brand I think where you are seeing that more than the domestic brands, and I say domestic brands because it's much more complex. It's never that simple, right? Because like for instance, Chevys are built in Mexico, whereas Toyotas are built in San Antonio. And so every time I say like the domestic brand, but they build the car in Mexico, and then Toyota built it in San Antonio, I'm like, I kind of scratch my head, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Is it where the company is headquartered? Is it where the truck is built?
Yeah,
don't know.
It's complicated.
But I think I see that most in the Toyota buyer. The Toyota buyers tend to be very brand loyal, and I think it's because they value reliability, which is, of course, what Toyota has become known for. You see that especially in like the Tacoma.
Yeah,
right?
and like overland trucks, four-wheel drive trucks. I used to have a Tacoma. I'm getting another one, right? I see that a little bit too, but not with bigger trucks, even heavy duties. Heavy duty, there was a lot of loyalty too, because it's probably engine based, right? I'm a Cummins guy or gal, or I'm a Duramax or a Power Stroke person. But now, for example, our friend David, right? David Morrow, he was a huge GM guy. GM. Now he just bought a Ram.
Just bought a Cummins.
Yeah. So he also likes the diesel, the Cummins diesel. He even combined it. He put a Cummins in one of his GMC trucks. So yeah, I think it's becoming more fluid. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but the one distinction that I think is still there, that I think is real, is that there's definitely a difference between truck guys and gals and car guys and gals. It doesn't mean car guys and gals don't have trucks, and truck guys and gals don't have cars, but I think that there really is a real difference between the way that the two approach, the vehicles. And I'm seeing that now, especially because there's this wave of new trucks, right, that are more lifestyle-y trucks. So more people are getting into like overlanding. And it's like there's this progression, right? You start out with a Subaru, let's say. And then you put a rooftop tent on a Subaru, and you find out that you're quickly exceeding that vehicle's capability, because let's say you want to put a 3-person rooftop tent on it, and the thing is only good for a 2, or you want to tow a small trailer, and you find out that immediately when you start towing anything over, let's say 1,500 pounds,
it's no good.
It's no good.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, maybe I need something a little bit bigger, and that's when you start looking at like small trucks, right? And then I've seen like people who have never been truck buyers all of a sudden realize that a small truck is great, but you know what? It'd be much more comfortable if I was hauling that, let's say, Airstream, right? The big one, not the small one.
Yeah.
Or even the small one, even if you take the small one.
Well, the small one is like 3,000 pounds. The big one is like 8,000 pounds or more.
And then you realize that, all of a sudden the vehicle I'm using is, and eventually you end up with, wanting more and more capability, and you end up kind of educating yourself to the benefits of what a pickup truck brings to the table, right? A pickup truck is much more of a tool, and it always has been much more of a tool than a car. A car is a form of transportation. A pickup truck is a tool for a lot of work functions, including hauling and towing, of course. And that benefit also then extends to, like overlanding or a lot of other things. And from a traditional car media journalist point of view, which is what I'm seeing, they're always like, hey, a truck is good for if I need to go get some like soil for the garden, right?
Yeah, or rock.
Or I have a friend who's moving, I can put a couch. But that's not, I don't think that's how most people use their trucks, right? In like Texas, the truck is a family hauler. It's a family truckster. It's the thing that you buy if you need something, not to move your family, but to just have as a vehicle. And that gulf is certainly there versus the, I'm a Chevy guy or gal, or I'm a Ford guy or gal.
Yeah, and I think especially when you look at enthusiasts, right? And a car or a truck can be expression of your personality, right? And we're seeing that more and more with these special trims, right? Where you have different colors, different options, different capabilities, and maybe a car person is more interested in that lap time, let's say, right? Maybe they want to take it on the weekend somewhere or go in the canyons, carve some canyons. Then they are talking about tires and compounds and suspension lowering kits. And then the truck person might talk about lifting the truck, right? And just kind of different goals, I guess, or different lifestyles.
The other thing I think that's, everybody thinks that like the crossover and SUV are having their moment. I actually think trucks are having their moment. And I think one of the factors that is driving that are toys. right? Toys have become a huge thing in America in terms of your lifestyle, right? Here in Colorado, and I don't know, I grew up in Chicago, so it's a little different there, but certainly here in Colorado, you don't use your garage anymore to put your car into, right? You use your garage
To store your toys.
to store your bikes, your skis, your
trailers.
your side-by-side. And when you have a lot of toys, or you aspire to have a lot of toys, you need to move around those toys. And there's nothing better than a truck to do that, because even as big as a crossover and SUV is, at some point you're going to run out of room, and you're certainly not going to slide a side-by-side into the back of your
Suburban.
I was going to say Outback. All right, Andre, in the last few minutes that we have left, let's talk about some truck news.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
There's a lot, so
Actually.
let's talk about the GMC. We haven't talked about that. Tell me about the GMC.
Speaking of premium off-road trucks,
Yes.
and very nice ones and very expensive ones, so GMC for 2022, they just redesigned their Sierra 1500s. The highlight of that news was 2 new trim levels. One was 84X, which is basically almost a competitor, I would say, to the Tremor in a way, and also some of the more premium trucks like the Rebel with all the features and options. It's not quite a Raptor, right? Because the new 84X is riding on 32s. Does have a new, very fancy suspension, redesigned springs, and then it's spool valve shocks. So, and very luxurious on the inside. So, and the starting price, are you ready?
I'm ready.
$74,995. So
Wow.
75.
So
and this is fully loaded.
So what's the difference between the Silverado ZR2 and the GMC?
Almost just the interior and trims and tires. So the Chevy Silverado ZR2 has the same basically suspension design, slightly different interior trim, and then the tire is slightly different. The ZR2 is riding on a 33-inch tall tire, the 84X is on the 32, and the GMC is positioned as a more luxury option, right? So you get in it, there is special stitching and leather everywhere. There's very nice materials throughout. So it's really a premium truck that can go off-road.
Which of the two would you get? If you went to the unveiling of both, which one struck your fancy, Andre?
Ooh, the ZR2.
Really?
The ZR2, but you know what? We don't know the price on it yet. So I'm expecting Chevy to price it more aggressively. Price it, I'm hoping in the 60s, maybe low 60s, maybe high 50s. I think they need to be very aggressive with that truck, but it just spoke to me more. It spoke to me because it's a little bit more, I'm not a luxury truck guy. You probably can tell because I own a work truck. But I like that off-road capability, so the ZR2 spoke to me a little bit more.
Hey, Andre, let's finish up on the Cummins news. Apparently, like the Bolt now, you can't park it indoors.
Right, so there's a recall on the new 2021 and 2022 Ram heavy-duty Cummins powered trucks related to their an issue, a possible fire risk related to their grid heater on the intake system. And Ram has already talked about it on their website. They're going to notify owners. About 131,000 trucks are affected. So you have to watch out for those. And of course, other manufacturers and other truck makers every truck has a recall, but this is a kind of one that affects a lot of people.
The best comment I read on your story that you did over at TFL Now
Yeah.
was somebody was like, well, now where do I park my Bolt?
Well, because the Bolt is also a fire risk and you have to park it outside also, yeah.
Well, there you have it, guys. We've got, of course, more news over at TFL-studios.com, where Andre keeps you up to date on everything that's happening in the truck world. And thank you to our Patreon members, Andre.
Yes.
And thank you guys for watching and listening. And as always, remember, you saw it first
At the TFLtruck.com.
on the Fast Lane Truck, Andre.
Yes.
See you guys next time. Ciao.